In the year 2020, portals linked to another dimension, gates began to appear, and something extraordinary began to happen in this peaceful world. Many nations' governments sent their armies into these gates to learn more about them, but not a single person come back, and monsters began pouring out of these neglected gates. With overwhelming strength that crushed all modern weaponry, the monsters began to slaughter humans indiscriminately. But supporters who were bestowed strength and skill by transcendent being to appear. Hunters, whom they were called uniques. Yes, indeed, hunters. With the hunters at the forefront, humility began its counterattack. Supporters were able to grant active hunters additional strength. Out of those countless hunters, one with countless kin and immortal soldiers and dominion over fire, called the Demon King, appeared. With the special qualities of a player, he alone was able to grow by hunting. However, through the influence of the 12 greatest heroes that were looked upon as gods, that feared this man and his power, he was erased from history. They, who had been called gods, created the perfect world in which they called Eden. Hunters were then considered a new human subspecies, and those who couldn't become hunters were reduced to slaves. This world, the hunters, dominated the world. And like this, 100 years passed. Clear view of beautiful forested scenery with houses, and we come to see a young man sprinting in an insane speed with speed. Remind me of when I get pressed after good street meal, I have to quickly locate a washroom. The young man's face glistened with perspiration as he gasped for breath, taking deep breaths, holding his knees. On top of a tree, a person figure is seen saying, "Hey, are you already done?" Young man is the protagonist, whose name is Lee Jun-gyong, and the man whom was at the tree was Sung-gu-hyung. You said you wanted to change the world. You think you could become a hunter with that mindset? In order to catch the eyes of the supporters, you've got to overcome your limits, Sung-gu-hyung told our MC, Lee Jun. Lee Jun-gyong answered his master or trainer, Sung-gu-hyung, saying, "Is that so? Did you overcome your limits when you got your first supporters too?" Sung-gu-hyung, jumping down from tree, he replied, "No, they just gave me their support." Looking at him in defeat, he uttered and said, "That's not fair. I'm training here every day and get no support from the supporters, and you got their support like that. I'm convinced you are the main character. There's no need." Sung-gu-hyung told Lee Jun-gyong, "The world is unfair. Just like how you're a normal human and I'm a hunter. If you can't run, I guess we'll have to do something else." Out of thin air, Sung-gu-hyung began to materializing a spear. With a smile that resembled like, "Yeah, look at me, I'm a freaking wizard, call me Advanced Merlin." Sung-gu-hyung threw the spear to Lee Jun-gyong to catch the spear. Holding the spear, Lee Jun-gyong asked, "Sung-gu-hyung, is that the inventory that the hunters have? It's amazing every time I see it." Sung-gu-hyung told him, "There's nothing to be amazed about. You'll realize it once you become a hunter too." "Is that so? When I become a hunter, huh?" Lee Jun-gyong. Looking down in a sad expression on his face and in a sorrowful tone, he said, "After I learned that my parents were killed by hunters, you gave me a book as a memento, and it was all the absurdities that hunters had committed. I wanted to change that. So you helped me through all these years. But when I look at how things have turned out, I guess I'll become a hunter. Becoming a hunter is, just like Eden says, the will of the heavens, I guess." Lee Jun-gyong, looking at the sky with a hopeful look. "Bullshit," said Sung-gu-hyung, interrupting Lee Jun-gyong, daydreaming thoughts pushing his back. Sung-gu-hyung, with proud and smile on his face, told Lee Jun-gyong that don't worry. You'll become a hunter, I guarantee it. Anyway, do you have that book? You keep asking me this. Of course I do. It's a memento from my parents. You said it was an autobiography of the forgotten hero, erased by the 12 heroes, right? You keep asking me about it, so I ended up memorizing it all." Lee Jun-gyong, wiping his tears of joy with the book Sung-gu-hyung had request, gripping the book and said in his heart, If only he was alive, the world could have been a better place. There was a lady floating in the air with pink-purplish aura around her. She looked down, watching Song Gu-hyung and Lee Jun-gyong, whom were in a discussion. Looking at them, in a disgust and annoyed look, and she said, "Found it." She increased her aura slow by slow. Raising her hands, purple-ish magic aura accumulated on her hands, aiming at both Sung Gu-hyung and Lee Jun-gyong. Sung Gu-hyung, sensing the intense magic accumulating on the woman's hand, turning his gaze towards the location. In the next second, she shot 4 magic balls which moved in a very quick manner at SN. Instant, it was above Sung Gu-hyung. "Damn it," said Sung Gu-hyung, alarmed at the incoming danger, pushing Lee Jun-gyong away from the incoming magic attack. He was thrown distance by mere push meters away, hitting a tree. The magic attack hitting Sung Gu-hyung head-on. Huge purple explosion seen covering a massive radius with much destructive power from a single attack. The attacker, her gaze focused intensely on the area she attacked, waiting for the smoke to go down and see if her target Sung Gu-hyung was injured or damaged. Lee Jun-gyong, startled by the explosion and trying to grasp and understand what was happening. His eyes were wide open, looking intensely at the explosion, saying in his mind, "What's going on?" Still looking at the huge D-mic ahead of him, he saw a woman flew down. SN stood looking intensely at the huge cloud of smoke before her. She turned her head and gazed back at Lee Jun-gyong with disgust, her aura pressure dominating around her. Lee Jun-gyong, in horror and fear, strikes his heart, which made sweat drip down his face, and in panic, saved in his mind, a hunter. What's a hunter doing here? She looked at Lee Jun-gyong and uttered, "Bow." Her words were filled with authority and intense magic power, which made Lee Jun-gyong bow unwilling, and so much pressure was exacted on him. What? My body just did it on its own? I can't move, thought Lee Jun-gyong with fear, horror, and terror on his face. The next second, 4 light rays came closing in a sonic speed. It was 4 people dressed in black suit appeared and stood in front of the girl. The 4 men instantly kneeled and lowered their heads, and in sync they chanted in unison, saying, "O ruler of Eden, we greet you, Lady Athena." That's Athena? With the highest rank, the ruler of Eden. What is one of the 12 gods that founded Eden doing here? Said Lee Jun-gyong, trembling uncontrollably, filled with fear, almost about to realize the most unseen nuclear disaster on his pants. We see Athena standing, her eyes were glowing purple with immense power and with a ruthless gaze of expression on his face. Around her were violent, intense purple explosive aura.